Every store has its fair share of weird and downright disturbing stories. From robberies to rodent infestations and fire outbreaks, there's no end to what you can see in some of these stores, and Kroger's is no exception. Here are some of the most disturbing things caught on camera at Kroger stores. Catch that saint. I grew up thinking armed robbers operated in the dead of the night. You did, as did everyone else. But that reality is quickly changing right before our eyes. Criminals roam the street every other day armed better than the soldiers that went down to Vietnam.
And I'm sure that was very traumatic for her.
The young man in this video walked casually into the Kroger store, looking every bit like every innocent shopper coming in to make a purchase, but he's far from innocent. In the waistband of his black pants, he has hidden a gun which he plans to rob this store with. He walks in and makes his way to the counter. He casually shows the cashier the gun in his waistband and calmly asks her to hand him the cash.
It's scary. It's real scary that you have to be scared to go shopping and be out in public.
The cashier was terrified for her life and promptly handed over all the money before our friendly neighborhood armed robber exited the store as casually as he had come. Take a moment to imagine an alternate situation where something goes awry, and the other customers here, including kids, are put in harm's way.
We just have to pray and just go through our day.
Scary, whichever way you look at it. Who is in charge here? Let's solve a quick puzzle. Why did the Kroger store on Parsons Avenue close? Because the rodents were in charge. The Columbus Health Department ordered the closure of the Kroger store when they discovered a rat infestation within. Take a close look at the disturbing photo showing the back room of this Kroger, from rat feces to the destruction the rats had left in their wake. These rodents had gained access through a hole in the back of the grocery store near the loading dock. The rats were present in the bakery, and how easily these rodents can munch on the food and infect it with something dangerous like Lassa fever is enough to cause my heart to skip a lot of beats in a minute.
I think Kroger's doing the best they can to try to stay up on it. When they're ready to reopen, they're going to call us, and we're going to go back out whatever that takes to get it back, back open again.
Who's in charge here, Kroger or the rats? 2 counts, 1 robbery, 1 kidnapping. 2 things terrify me. Being robbed at gunpoint and being kidnapped. Of course, death is a lot more terrifying than anything else, and when a gun is pointed at one's head, the actual monster being confronted here is death. And that's exactly what these employees of Kroger in Douglasville experienced.
Took them into the back of the store in the receiving area, and there was a trailer backed up to a loading dock. And he forced all of them except for 1 into the truck.
First, the robber robbed 6 employees at gunpoint, locked 5 of them up, and kidnapped 1 of them at gunpoint, forcing the kidnapped to sit in the vehicle with him on a torturous journey as he made his way to East Atlanta, where he jumped off the car and frankly disappeared.
And we're worried that he's going to commit another crime and hurt more people, and that's why we're offering a $10,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest in this case.
This is a really methodical thief who planned and executed his crime almost perfectly. You can see him in a gray hoodie looking like the criminal he is, and police think he could be a suspect in another murder. Scary. Fastest finger first. You have to look really closely to see what happens here. Keep your eyes on the hands, and watch how deftly they move when it's time to swipe that wallet. We've always known criminals to be fast. This is another proof of it. The first buyer, the guy in a white baseball cap, pays for his goods and collects his balance from the cashier, then the young lady behind him walks up to the counter. Watch as she punches in her details, then keep your eyes on the hands to see how quickly and casually she picks up a wallet that was lying just there on the countertop. There's no way to know who dropped the wallet. We're certain it doesn't belong to the thief, though. Our best guess is that it belonged to the guy in the white baseball cap, but in a world where the patient dog gets nothing at the end, she moves quickly to take a wallet that I think was not hers before the cashier could notice and place it in the lost and found. Don't misplace anything, especially when it's valuable. No one returns anything anymore. They'll rather keep it for themselves. Watch that again. Keep your eyes on the hands. We should have said fastest hands first. The Big Bang. First there was a bang, then a fire, but there's nothing strange about a vehicle crashing into a gas station, is there? Many times we've seen it happen. One vehicle crashes into another and they both go flying into a nearby gas station where the issue often escalates simply because it's the gas station, but that's the strangest thing. It was a single vehicle. Nothing nudged it, no other car collided with it, it simply flew into the gas station and caught on fire. What you see is the aftermath of a strange event. The mangled metal parts and the smashed gas pump, all parts of the chaos left behind by the crash. A couple of robbers. When you hear couple, I want you to think romantic couple, like a man, woman, whatever dynamic, but this time think of them as devious, sneaky, and armed. This couple isn't the type of couple you admire and aspire to on Instagram. They're devious and criminal-minded. They walked into this store leisurely. Watch as they made their way through the store to the cashier, then watch them walk out. The man goes first, then the young lady prances like a happy kangaroo after him. She looks way too happy, doesn't she? We can't tell what was stolen or if the stolen item is in the bag that the happy lady is logging on her arm, but the police are actively seeking the couple for theft. On your marks. Sometimes it's not about how careful or how smart you are. The robbers are getting more innovative by the day, and a small slip is all they need to pounce. In this victim's case, it's a question of could-haves and should-haves, but ultimately it comes down to the fact that criminals thrive on exploiting the slightest sign of complacency in all of us. The woman had finished her shopping, loaded her purchase in her car, and was all set to drive home. Watch the black car idling in the middle of the parking lot. It's the robbers biding their time, getting ready for the snatch. In the moment the woman drops her purse on the passenger seat of the car, the robbers rush in, pulls the passenger side door open, and grabs the purse and runs back in his getaway vehicle.
It's something that I'll definitely keep, as I have my wallet tucked under my arm, keep my purse, my wallet very close to my person, and definitely look around and pay attention when I get out and into my car.
They were fast, they were calculating, and the painful thing about these crimes is how much they're making ordinary citizens feel a need to stay on their toes every hour of the day. At the mall, at the church, at work, at home, criminals continue to make ordinary people feel the need to stay sharp like men at war. What a shame. Are we back in the Dark Ages? Look at all those coals. I'm sure I would have loved to see the fire climbing up towards the ceiling and not just the dead coals littering the floor. Truth be told, fire has a certain kind of beauty if it wasn't so dangerous. Someone appears to have lit the charcoals inside the store, but the fire was quickly controlled before it could do any long-lasting damage. But it managed to do a bit of damage, denying the locals their beloved store for a little longer than they would have liked because the fire meant the store would be closed for a little while.
This is my favorite store. I shop here all the time, and Walmart, of course, being in the area, is my second best, and I guess if I really needed something, that's where I would go.
Well, if I'd known it was closed, I would have gone to the one in Waynedale because I was over there. So, scale of 1 to 10, it's kind of a pain because I was getting pork chops for dinner.
That's the only next place to go. Yes, Walmart. I hope it comes back open soon. I really do.
But the most important question here is, who lit the fire and why? While we contemplate the mystery of the fire and the psycho who lit it, I think once more of the fire. How wondrously beautiful it would have been if it were not so deadly. But it is. And in this case, it could have done so much more damage if it hadn't been brought under control very quickly. Double Jeopardy. It's not enough that a robber walks into a Kroger store. He goes ahead to say the 4 magic words capable of creating the biggest amount of chaos. I have a bomb. It was 7:30 p.m., an ungodly hour for the scariest event of the day when an employee dialed 911 to report a bizarre event. A thief walked into the store, dropped a bag strategically, and proceeded to tell the cashiers the content of the bag, a bomb which he plans to detonate unless he gets what he wants. Law enforcement arrived pretty quickly. The mention of a bomb will always have them on hyper alert, but by the time they arrived on the scene, the robber was gone. The store was quickly cleared out, but there was no bomb. Genius or madness? We'll let you decide. How strong is that glass? Every year, many stores witness some very serious break-ins at one time. One large chain store in the United States had over 200 people break in at the same time, carting away valuables. In this case, it doesn't quite work out so well. Watch as the intending thief tries to smash the glass and gain access into the store. His frustration with his failure is so obvious, you can see it clouding his face, in the energy he puts into trying to break the glass pane and in the disappointment when he discovers it wasn't going to be. The power he puts behind each hit shakes the whole place up, but his primary aim of breaking and entering doesn't manifest, and all thanks goes to the sturdy glass pane. Kroger store or Kroger Zoo? Animals are such beloved creatures, and watching the deer prance through the aisle, you'd think we might have some kind of animal uprising on our hands.
Oh my gosh! Oh my goodness!
Turns out we don't, but in spite of that, there's a simple grace to the deer's run, a genteel beauty to this anomaly.
Mia!
And the innocent bystander will wonder why and how the deer got into the store. The deer had come out of nowhere, rushing into the store and running down the aisle in a bid to hide from prying eyes and the surprised stares that trailed its entrance into the store. The invisible thief detector. Wherever there's a store, there must have been a robbery incident at one time or another. It's not nearly as innovative as some criminals who carry out these thefts would like to believe, but things appear to be going differently at this Kroger store. People simply waltz in and out with a full cartload of goods that seem not to have been paid for, but shortly after they're out of the store, their individual carts appear to be stuck to the ground and immovable. The thief is forced to abandon the cart and walk away after a short attempt at getting it to move. People of different colors, ages, and gender, a full melting pot of decadence and regular clothing trying to pull one over on the good folks at Kroger stores. But from this video, something appears to be fighting the battle for Kroger. Notice a few of the carts that went on without a hitch? Those must be fully paid products. What do you think is snaring the carts and keeping these thieves from walking off with the stolen goods? Let us know in the comments. Is that smoke without fire? One of the scariest things for a store is the threat of a fire outbreak, not just for the unimaginable amount the business stands to lose to the fire, but for the possible loss of lives and fear fire engenders. Here you can see the smoke clouding up the windows, filling the aisles, and probably setting off every fire alarm in the store. But the mystery is, there is no fire. Look closely. Do you see any? The presence of the fire department van outside will calm every nerve, but there's no active effort to put out any fires. Can you imagine the scare this caused when the first smoke was detected? We have no idea what caused this or if there was any fire eventually, but the smoke is enough to strike the fear of God into the most stoic of customers or storekeeper. The fire truck and the sheriff's department car parked outside is enough to tell us all we need to know. The scare was real, but everything is definitely under control, though we can't tell what caused all that smoke. Before we play the last clip, I'm sure you've been enjoying everything so far, so why don't you consider subscribing to our channel? We post 2 new scary videos every week, so subscribe and click the notification button so you can stay up to date with new releases. 2 men, 1 purse. The getaway vehicle of choice for these 2 ruthless thieves are bicycles, and the victim they've chosen to rob is an old woman who was returning her shopping cart to the right place. They had waited, watched the woman, then taken her purse at the most opportune moment. Recall the woman who dropped her purse on the passenger seat and the quick evil that followed. This is much like that crime, with cowardly young men watching an old woman go about her business. Until the perfect time, and they slunk the purse off her shoulder and made a run for it.